Hello, Evan. Wonderful to see you. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling blessed. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic, and I'm so glad to hear that because yes, indeed, you are blessed. One of the few fighters that have had a lot of action this 2020. How do you feel about that? How hard was it for you to stay in shape and maintain certain rhythm during the pandemic?
It wasn't too hard, I say if you're a boxer, you live the sport. So I've been to the gym all day, every day. Not really just to really stay in shape, but this is really what I do. It's what I find entertaining to me. So just another day in the office and just doing what I love.
Another day in paradise, and now you have somebody else taking you by the hand, very well known, who's the forger of a lot of talent. Mark Breland is working with you. What has he added to your arsenal of weapons?
I know for sure what we've been working on. We've been working on the jab, and he showed me some of his tapes, and like I feel like he is one of the most craziest right hands I've probably seen in a while, especially setting up off the jab. So hopefully I get a hold of some of that stuff and put it to use.
So let me backtrack a little bit. We were there when you did your pro debut. That was a year and a little bit longer ago, right? That was November of 2019.
Yeah,
So
that was November.
exactly. And we saw a very talented young man with a lot of skill set, some huge skill set. So between that day and today, what has changed?
Well, for sure, I've definitely switched camps. I was training out in Texas before, but you know how some things go, and I ended up back in Georgia where I started before I went up to Texas. So I'm around some good energy and around people who actually know me. With a great addition of Mark Breland, so I feel like you'll ought to see a different style and a more poised version of myself. And I'm just around good energy. Everybody around here is like family, including Mark as I got to know him a little bit better. And I feel like I'm really I feel like myself and I'm happy, and there's more and more nothing more dangerous than a happy fighter, that's just happy to be back in his own environment.
I totally agree. Happy camp, happy fighter. So last fight, you actually went the distance, 4 rounds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for somebody who's just starting, going the distance, and somebody known for having heavy hands and having punching power, what made Dylan so complicated?
Well, I feel like for one thing, I should have had a little bit more of a plan going to the fight, but with my recent camp, we really wasn't too focused on that, I guess. But watching the fight and stuff, there was a couple of mistakes I made. I should have went down to the body a little bit more from the beginning. But to give credit to Dylan Carlson,
Mhm.
he was a grown man. I think he was like 28, played football, something like that, and I guess he
Yes.
was used to getting hit. So I gave him a couple solid shots and almost got him out in the fourth. But at the end of the day, he had a chin. So not every fighter is just going to go down. Like everybody wants them to. But there was nothing I could do but just value that experience, just put it in my arsenal. So my next fight, if the guy's tough, I'm not going to be too surprised. I know what to do next.
And walk me through it because, like you said, you almost had him at the very end and he wouldn't go down. Walk me through it, through what was going on in your head because you're used to finishing your opponents very quickly. That's already what your muscle memory knows. Obviously, that's your tendency and your roots really come from heavy hitters. He's not going down. What are you thinking?
Well, for only one first time when I seen him go down, well, I seen him like wobble. I have wobbled him in the first round.
Hmm.
And I was just I was like, oh yeah, he may go out. But as the round started going, he he started recovering. He started picking his shots a little bit more. He started getting comfortable. But I noticed like in the third or fourth round, started going down to the body, which opened up his head. But it was a little bit too late of the investment to go down to the body to really just take him out like that. But what was really kind of going through my head at the time was, I'm kind of used to it. As an amateur, I had maybe like 80 something fights, but I really wasn't knocking people out until I started getting into like not knocking people out, but really stopping people until I started getting to the end. So at the end of the day, I was always used to going to three, you know, going the distance and stuff like that. But I was just maybe just wanted to tilt my hat off to him, and I was like, hey, he's a tough guy, and he really wants to stay in.
Well, with that pedigree in the amateurs, obviously that gives you a whole lot of experience. And let's talk about your conditioning and you being so tall for this division. Do you think you're going to stay in this division for a long time, or is this just a stepping stone and then you're going to move up?
Well, at the end of the day, it's really up to my team. But I can say for this much, I fight at what 154.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never walking around more than 2 or 3 pounds more than 154. Like I'm really just like naturally small. I fight at 165 as an amateur, but only
Mm-hmm.
because my dad wouldn't let me cut weight. I'd weigh in to the tournaments at 158, 159, and I fight up to 165. So I feel like if anything, I could possibly go down the weight division if I really wanted to, but it's about being healthy and because we all know your brain is like 98% water, and you see people kind of getting messed up a little bit or getting hurt or feeling drained during the fights because just losing a lot of water weight. And why be unhealthy when you could be healthy and fight at the right weight? So that's the way I think about it.
Wise move. Wise move. Um, when we look at Mark's career and the fact that he's worked with what was considered at any given moment one of the most dominant forces in the heavyweights, Deontay Wilder, and what he did with his career, uh, what does that tell you about how he cares about his fighters?
And that's the most important thing, to be honest, because a lot of people can criticize him for the stoppage. Or, as a matter of fact, I really wouldn't even say that because the more I really looked into it, a lot of people really support his decision. I really will support his decision too.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you can't always leave it up to the refs to really look out for the health and safety of your fighter. And you really want somebody who really cares about you. So at the end of the day, if, if you're really in the position to for the ref or anybody to stop the fight, and I feel like that's really on you, you know. So at the end of the day, I really would rather have somebody in my corner looking out for the fair and safety of myself to live another day and fight another day than end up being damaged or being damaged goods. So it's important to have a person like that in your corner that really cares about you and cares about the safety of you. So at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with what he did. I feel like, especially in the condition that Deontay Wilder was in. His ear was bleeding and he was stuck in the corner and all types of stuff was going on. So clearly he wasn't feeling like himself. If he thinks he got spiked or something, like
We'll have to figure that out in time. Something will come up. But let's
yeah.
talk about your upcoming fight. Reed, his record, there's a misconception. People just go into box rack and they figure, oh, this guy has absolutely no challenge for somebody like Evan. Obviously, talking about your roots, your heritage, what you've raised with, but you know better. What kind of challenge does Reed bring to the table for somebody like you?
Well, for one thing, he has experience, and with experience comes the ins and outs of what he could set you up with. He doesn't look like he's not a slouch. He got some power, some pop. If you let him get comfortable and let him set into it. So I feel like it's the experience of all that he's got, and just wanting to see what I'm gonna bring to the table.
At this point in time, do you feel this is the kind of challenge that you need, or do you foresee 2021 bringing opponents of a higher caliber?
Well, I'm not the person who picks my fights. I just leave that all up to the promotions and my promoters. So they tell me a person I have to fight, and I just do my job. That's why they signed me. So I'm not really into the matchmaking part. I leave that all up to them.
Fair. And looking at the big picture, the way boxing sits right now, when we see somebody like Mike Tyson coming back with Roy Jones Jr., Mayweather saying that he wants to come back, and a lot of people coaxing your father. How do you feel about your father coming back, or maybe even active, both of you, father son? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh yeah, if that was to happen, I feel like that'd be a great experience. Especially to be on the stand card as my father. Not too many people can say that. I think Travis Jr. may have did that with his dad.
Oh, you're right, but you're right. You're right. And as an exhibition,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Yes.
but hey, there's nothing more better than doing it, yourself. So if that was to happen, that would be a blessing. We both could probably possibly walk out with a dub, or if they do it how they did the Roy Jones, Mike Tyson, somebody would have a draw, and somebody would have a win. But I feel like it would be a blessing. It's pretty interesting what's going on in the boxing world as far as all that.
Do, do, when I see young fighters like you that are hungry, that have a lot to give to the sport, and then I see somebody like a YouTuber coming up and getting all this attention, I wonder how somebody like you feels about that.
Well, at the end of the day, I understand. Boxing it's like it's a money business. That's the way some people just feel like they can make their money. But I'm not going to down talk anybody or downplay anybody because I understand they put in work just like us, but they should have a little bit more of a following. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is, if you have a following and that many people want to see you, you know, that's big ups to you rather than somebody else who doesn't I guess have that following. Some people have to build it up, some people already have it, but it's just the business of what it is. But I feel like you shouldn't be taking advantage of some of these fighters that like Nate Robinson, like Jake Paul has like at least 3 years of experience. Why bring in an NBA player that looked like he just learned how to box or is
3 weeks.
learning how to box? Yeah,
Three
yeah, three
weeks.
weeks, 3 weeks, and really the way I think about it, when I had my first amateur fight, not even talking pro fight, it was a lot coming into the ring, stepping into the ring, not on national television, 1.5 million people, but just in front of a little crowd. So, you take all that into account and you put that in front of millions of people. You got Snoop Dogg narrating, you got Mike Tyson there, you got all these people here, willing to see something go down. And it's a lot for a person to really absorb and really take in, especially against somebody like Jake Paul. I'm not saying he's a great fighter, but it's not his first time fighting on television. He's fought on DAZN and stuff like that. He has 3 years experience. He knows what it feels like to get hit and stuff like that. And I just really didn't feel like it was too fair because even look at the stats. When he lined them all up, he had age, he had reach, he had weight, he had pretty much everything virtually over Nate Robinson. But at the end of the day, you really can't talk bad about Nate Robinson because he got in there and he tried to show his own. But the most I can say is I hope everybody ended up in good health. And that's all I really cared about.
I totally agree. So looking at this fight coming up, I don't like to put fighters against the ropes and ask for a prediction, but I think at this point in time, with your pedigree, your experience, um, I'd like to ask you, how do you see this fight going down?
Man, I feel like the way I think about it, if I told you what I really thought, there would be no reason to tune into the fight to watch it. So, I'm not going to spoil the show for everybody, but I can tell you it's going to be a good performance. I look forward to having a good performance and to show everybody what I learned out here and learn from Mark. So, you just have to tune in and see.
Fair enough. Well, best of luck. Thank you for your time, Evan, and I'm so happy to have you back in the ring.
Yeah, thank you.